Welcome to the
Green Room.
Paints, Games, Chats.
Come into the Green Room.
This is where the party's at.
Party at the Green Room.
We got guests here to stay.
Welcome to the Green Room.
Best party of your day at the Green Room. Hello. Welcome to the Green Room. I forgot what show I was doing for a moment. Sometimes you just stare into the cold ether of the camera in front of you. Welcome to the Green Room. My name is Justin. I am your host tonight. My pronouns are he, him. Hey, thanks so much for the file. Woo, it's been a day. Thanks for the follow, Dial Roop. ECAT Carter's making homemade cookies. We have White Shadow 2006 is here. Finally, Some Keys back. Thanks for joining, everybody. Not only y'all, but we do have a few other guests as well, as I'm sure you can see. So why don't you introduce yourselves, my delightful guests? Annie.
Hello, I'm Annie. Pronouns are she, her. And I'm so excited to be on the Green Room tonight. This is fun. Thanks for asking me to come on, Justin.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Absolutely.
Please,
Go ahead,
come back.
Darrington. Take it away, Darrington.
And hi, my name is Darrington, he, him, pronouns, and I'm coming to you actually from a green room. What a
Yeah.
What? We planned that.
all coordinated.
This was all part of my long-term plans for the last 4 months.
Yeah, how long have you been doing that? 4 months. Wow, that's a long game.
Yeah, we've been doing Green Room since February, I think.
Awesome.
Sounds right to me. Speaking of which, if you've never been here before, welcome to the Green Room. Here we chat about role-playing. I paint minis, and we do other stuff sometimes. Sometimes we play games. Sometimes we have end of campaign response cast party things. It's whatever. It's a catch-all. If you're new to Ghostlight RPGs, welcome to that. Ghostlight RPGs is a community of theater theater artists. You guys, I'm not used to. Okay, before I go any further, let me talk about Ghostlight RPGs. We're a community of theater artists and beyond who are keeping the lamp lit by telling stories, by doing role-playing, playing games, opening our community, as it says in the chat. Thanks, ECAT Carter. Yeah, okay, now that I've got that done with, I got a new job, hooray, and I'm working from home, which is great. But I got a new setup, and this is the first one I've done with this new setup, and I'm not used. It's just different. It's different in a good way. And so you're hello right there in front of me, and I have to stare at myself sometimes. Yeah. Thanks, White Shadow. Thank you. Yes, it's a very exciting week for me. My new job. This weekend is my 5-year wedding anniversary. Woo! Next week is my birthday. Well, 2 weeks. 2 weeks till my birthday. I'm a little excited.
Really?
So yeah, it's crazy. Lots going on. But enough about me. Let's talk about you guys. So if you're not familiar with my guests today, you shame on you. You should be. Darrington and Annie are both players in Zoa Stardust, a campaign that we have on the channel here on Sunday mornings. Hey, Elisa Lynn, thanks. Happy all the things. So, what was I saying? So Sunday mornings, Zoa Stardust. If you're not familiar, it is. I'm a little biased, but it's a fantastic show about basically the best way to put it is just animals lost in space on a space pirate ship kind of thing. That's it. If you're into that, you got to check it out. All of our VODs are available Well, on YouTube actually, so you can find our YouTube channel for those to catch up. But Annie plays Kira Swiftfoot, right? Swiftfoot. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't say your last name very often.
We
I
don't.
forgot.
I realized that. I was like, I do. This is kind of funny. So the character that I'm playing in Dungeons and Dragons right now, her name is Kiram, and I
Oh.
just kind of like
What have you done?
I know. So one time, like my friend Fitz was like, "Did he say your D&D name?" I was like, "No, it's Kira," and I know I kind of made it complicated, but Kiram only kind of has that name. Her last name is Wood, but she kind of like hates that last name, so she just goes by that. So
Gotcha.
Kira, I think I kind of leave Swiftfoot out because I think I do something similar with that. But yes, Kira Swiftfoot. She should be proud of her last name because she comes from a great line
It's
of
a
people.
sick last name.
Yeah, you
That's
came
cool.
up with it.
Oh yeah.
You did. I was
forgot
like
that.
so lost.
Good. Oh my god.
What a good last name.
I couldn't think of anything. I was like, oh my gosh, I need something, and he was like, Swiftfoot. Like, yes, that's it.
I think I gave you
learning
like
about this.
I just like threw like 6 things your way, and you're like, yeah, that one.
It was amazing. It was so good. Yeah.
So you play Kira Swiftfoot, the Cheetah, peacekeeper in Zoa, and Darrington, you play Tennyson Vittel, right? Vitel. Okay. You'd think I would know this. I play with them, but you play Tennyson Vittel, the Toucan Arcana Technician, which is a mouthful to say. The Toucan Arcana Technician.
Yeah. Good warm up.
Yeah.
What?
So I'm really excited to talk to you both about your characters, and we will do so here pretty soon. There's a little gnat in here, and I'm trying to get it.
I have one too, actually.
That's what happens when you have plants all over your place, which is nice. It's great.
Very nice.
Anyway, we're going to talk about your characters, and if anybody in the chat has questions about those characters, stick around. We're going to be talking about them more later, and you can ask more questions. But right now, I just want to talk more about you two as people. Tennyson the Toucan. That's good. Good job. So I want to talk to you about your role-playing story. Just what is your story? Each of you have a very unique, different experience than myself, and so I'd love to hear that. Darrington, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, as far as a story goes, I would say that you, Justin, are the father of my role story.
Yeah.
And you are the first person who has ever asked me to be a part of something like this. My background in anything close to this world rests heavily in video games, which was a big reason that I gravitated towards the Arcana Technician position in Zoa. Because something that I'm really familiar with in some of those role-playing games, video games, like the Final Fantasies out there and, you know, what have you, is the idea of modifying and equipping and upgrading. That's something that I feel really comfortable with. But role-playing, I had only ever done once before, and it was an assignment in my theater history class. At the culmination of the year, our professor asked us to choose a character from one of the plays we had read at some point in the year and to come together and do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign as that character. So in our essay, we had to come up with, you know, what class they would be and, you know, where their stats would lie and why, and justify it based on the play.
Yeah.
So it was a brilliant theater assignment, but it was also my first foray into Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing, anything like that. And it was a blast, but that was in college, however many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't done it since then. So Zoa is very fresh for me, but I love getting a chance to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I've never felt a pull towards teaching, and I've been a teacher sort of, but I've never really like super enjoyed it. But that one story makes me kind of be like, I would give it a try if I could do that. If I could just do nothing but those assignments.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to know who you picked and what. Do you remember?
I know that my character ended up, it was something from Shakespeare. I picked a Shakespearean character, And
Yeah.
in the campaign, he was an elf who could sing. Who
Bard,
could that be?
maybe.
I don't know who it was, but it was a grand old time. Maybe if anyone out there who's watching, K-State, class of 2016, remind me.
It'd be so fun.
Please.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
so good. Chat, if you were to do that assignment, who would you pick and what class would you put them in?
I'm trying to think.
It
Annie,
makes
Annie, what would you do?
it
I'm
makes you
trying to. Oh my gosh. Like first, I'm trying to think of a good place. I feel like Shakespeare is good because that's, I don't know. You can just like go with
Yeah.
that, but
It
I don't
fits
know.
for sure. I would do like something by like Tracy Letts.
Ooh.
Just-
Okay.
No,
There you
no. I would maybe like yeah, who's the grandma, who's the matriarch in August Osage County? I would pick her.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she'd be like a necromancer. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Um,
I'll do my character from Nomad Motel, and she'll just be like either a really cool, like, I don't know, she likes lights and designing things. I don't know. I just think of that dang light scene where we had to put the paper bags,
Mhm.
and so something, maybe sorcerer, maybe mage, something like
yeah.
that.
Sorcerer
cool.
makes sense for her,
Yeah.
for that character.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so Annie, what's your story?
Yeah, so let's see. This was my senior year of college, and so my gosh, that was 2017. So I was dating my then boyfriend, now husband, John, and I walked in randomly, and you would think I caught him doing something bad. He was like, "Hey, what's up? What you doing?" I was
This is what it
like,
looked like.
what are you doing? He's like, I'm preparing to DM a game. I was like, what's that mean? He's like, I played D&D. I was like, what's D&D? And he's like, Dungeons and Dragons. And I go, oh, cool. How do you play Dungeons and Dragons? And he was like, oh, I thought you were gonna think I was a nerd because he was dating another girl at one point, and she just like let him have it that he was a nerd and this and
Oh,
that, and he was like all
no.
bummed out. Yeah, so he's like, oh, I found like
I was
the
gonna
love
say
of my
that.
life,
It's-
and she loves D&D.
And this is a
Yeah.
lesson to everybody out there to be yourself, to be
Yeah.
true to who you are, because screw that other lady. You
She's happily
were waiting
getting
right there
yeah.
in the wings.
She also didn't like Star Wars, so it was just never gonna
Okay,
work
just-
out.
Yeah, we can't
I
talk
know.
about her.
I know. She was into Harry Potter, but John was like, I like Star Wars better. But anyway, so he.
Tell me more about her. Just joking. Don't tell me more about her. Okay.
Yeah, so he showed me, and then me and his roommate were like, wait, but like show us how to play a game. So we were kind of like, there was a fake battle map, and I think we had Cheerios, and he was showing us like where to move our characters. It was so funny, and all I knew was, I was like, can I be an elf? Because I loved Lord of the Rings since, I don't know, 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you can be an elf. I was like, yes. Can I be a hot elf like Ranger? And he's like, yeah. I was like, great, this is what I'm gonna do.
That's all you want.
That's all I want. That's all I ever want to play is a hot elf.
I
But so then he was playing with this other group, and I wouldn't see him on Sundays or Saturdays, and I'd be like, where is he going? Like, I want to see my boyfriend.
Mhm.
And so one of my friends was like, have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? You should ask him to campaign a game for you. So I was like, yeah. So I asked him if he would DM. Whoa, we've been talking about GM too much. So I asked
Yeah,
him if he
right.
would DM, and it was supposed to be a one shot, and it was just me and 2 other people, and we had a blast, and we had so much fun. I did play Elven Ranger,
Played a hot elf.
Beryl Strongweather, who I love,
Oh.
and yes, she was the best. And then we wanted to keep playing, so we added 2 more people on, and it started then, and we've played with the same group for the past how many years, and we're on our 2nd campaign.
That's
so, yeah.
fantastic.
It's pretty fun,
So
and I'm probably more obsessed than he is.
You
at this
play more steadily than most people I know, and specifically with the
Yeah.
same group of friends.
We've only played with the same group of friends. We have
That's-
2 other friends who swing in as like,
Yeah.
the guest stars once in a while, but yeah, we played with each other. We're the only people who we play with, which is super fun.
that's so cool. I mean, that's great. You guys know your chemistry, and you get to just kind of bounce around. I remember at one point you told me you guys are already planning what characters you're gonna be in the next campaign. Like, you're already done with this. You're just like, let's just move on to the next one.
No, it's so fun. I think it's just like, I don't know, it's like theater where you're so excited about this character you play, but you're ready for the next one too. You're always looking for something new. And so I think the difference with this next one and why we're so ready for that one and excited is because one of my friends is going to DM instead of John. So John will get to play this time around. He's been DMing the past two.
Sure.
So I think that's why it's different and fun that we get to look forward to that one. But yeah, we're very excited with this one currently happening. So super fun.
I love it. I love it. Real quick, I'm going to talk about the chat real quick because they've been chatting it up over here.
Oh, boy.
We've got some really good picks. We've got, like, I think Vi is the name. Thank you, Dark Plane, of my grandma, of my Tracy Letts grandma.
Yes.
We got ACAT's character from the mascot would be a warlock. Willie Loman as a cleric or a bard, just for fun. Instead of a traveling salesman, he's a traveling bard. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Got some love for the hot elf ranger. Yeah, we have Charlotte from The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. What is that? Is that a musical? I don't know that one. The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. I like it though. I'm gonna go look it up now. Darrington, did you know it? Did you say?
No, I don't, but I sincerely hope that it is a musical.
I know, me too. That's so good. And then Columbo as an inquisitive rogue. Fantastic. Very cool. Thanks, chat. Cool. So I guess I kind of skipped over something here, and that was like, how do we know each other? I kind of like to talk about it, and sometimes because Ghostlight RPG started out as a group of theater artists, and we are expanding, but a lot of us have our roots in theater, and I know that that's where I met both of you. Annie, I know where we met, and you mentioned it before with Nomad Motel, a show that we did together. Got to play opposite each other, and it was fantastic. Loved it. Darrington, I'm trying to remember the first time we met or like worked together.
I understand why it's difficult. I technically don't think we have ever worked together.
Never worked together. That explains it.
Oh.
It's just the network. We just know each other because
your wife.
Because of my wife.
Yes.
We did a show at the Coterie together, and that was a show in which she and Elisa, shout out to Elisa, saved my mental well-being. I could have very seriously quit acting after the show had it not been for the two of them. And then eventually that binds you together with a person. So she eventually introduced me to you.
I love it. Well, there you go. That's friendship.
Sorry.
It's a Star Kid musical. The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. Gotcha. I've Holy Musical Batman is, I think, my favorite Star Kid musical. Surprise, surprise, but it's so good. If you haven't watched that one, you have to.
Star Kid is Firestarter, right?
Yes. Yep. And that one is the one with the I don't really want to do the work today, right?
Yeah.
That's that one.
My ringtone.
Yeah. It's so good. Oh, everybody stretch. Thank you, Brienne. Thanks for stopping in and telling us to stretch. I'm also going to hydrate. That's a freebie. You don't have to pay
Y'all wore
for
the
that
Kansas
one.
shirt.
Oh, but ECAT will.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I got my college Benedictine, which is in Kansas, but y'all didn't give me the memo.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry. Yeah.
Actually, it's really sad. I need to get some Kansas City merch. I really don't have much.
You do.
Or any.
You should.
I need to.
Well, I would give you this shirt if I wasn't wearing it.
Okay. Thanks.
That's how much I appreciate you. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Bree. Thanks. Yes, it's a beautiful water bottle. One that somebody else might want one day. Or...
I love how I can't read the chat, so you just switched into I'm like, what is going on?
Sorry. Yeah, I forgot you
love
guys
it.
you can't read the chat.
I love it.
You could.
I actually,
but you
that
should.
makes me think of, so I was talking about like a character that I want to play one day, just being a cleric. You know, the whole like, I can't hear my God, and like they're going through a emotional thing where like a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
I want a dwarven cleric who hears her God constantly, and he just annoys her, the living shit out of her. And she's like, hey, I
Yeah.
told them already. Like, what do you want me to do? And so she just starts being like, have you heard of our Lord and Savior? Yeah, I did the thing. Anyway, go on. And she just keeps talking about how she won't shut up the whole time. That's what it's making me think
That's
of.
great.
Really.
I really need that character. If Dark Plane is still watching, that needs to be a character that is played in the old school roundup that we do on Ghostlight, which is like classic D&D
Yeah.
modules, but with, you know, crazy characters and whatnot. And yes, you have to play that character, Annie.
Start talking outside.
The audience demands it.
All right, good.
So let's move on to the next question here.
Real quick, Justin, how did you start playing? Have I ever asked you this?
I don't know.
I'm sure the audience knows by now, but I want to know.
I've told this story probably so many times to them, but we
Real
have
quick.
so many new people
Nice.
that it's probably it's worth telling. I got a contract for theater out in Creede, Colorado, where it's a small town, and I mean that. It's very small. But in the summer, it gets, you know, blown up with tourism. It's crazy. And so there's a fantastic theater there, and I was lucky enough to go out there and do some theater. And that's where I met a good number of my friends, actually, but specifically good old Dark Plane DM, Graham Ward. And so I got to know him, and one day he was like, you want to play this role-playing game? And it was actually, my first experience was not D&D, it was the Marvel Heroic role-playing game, which was Cortex, which is what we play an updated version of for Zoa Stardust. And that was my first little inkling into that. But I loved it so much. I played Hawkeye for a little while. Or actually, I take that back. This was the first year we played that, and I did not play Hawkeye. I played... who did I play that first year? I don't know. Dark Plane, if you remember, tell me. I don't remember. I think I played Wolverine, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, point is, he introduced me to D&D from there. Somebody else dropped out of a campaign, and I just took over their character. I didn't even really build my own character. It just kind of stepped in, and boom, that was it. And I was hooked. So then I came home from Creede that year and came back to Kansas City, and I kind of became obsessed with D&D. And you know, I was like, man, is there anybody in Kansas City who plays D&D? Probably not. And I didn't know if anybody would be interested in playing with me. So I just kind of learned the rules by myself. I bought myself the books, and eventually I got the confidence to put on Facebook and say, like, is anybody, like... Actually, I didn't even ask that. I didn't ask that. What I said, I posted a video that was like a spotlight on this group, basically Annie's group in 30 years. It was a group who have played together for like 35 years. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Wouldn't that be cool? And then like a bunch of people like commented on it and said, yeah, I would love to play D&D. Are you playing D&D? And I was like, no, but should we? And so I got a few friends together that honestly we weren't that close of friends beforehand, and then that 3 years later kind of turned into Ghostlight. So it's kind of crazy how it all went down.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you're not close
Carter
before,
was one of those people. What'd you say?
I said if you're not close before, you will be. You
Yeah,
go
it's
through
true.
a lot.
It's true. So many of the people in Ghostlight were in that first kind of campaign with us. So it's great. Anyway, it's not about me. Let's talk about you. My hair, I'm gonna rip it out.
Yeah, there you go. That's how I do.
Yeah. Okay. Let's speed round. What do you love most about role playing? What intimidates you the most about role playing, if anything? Whoever wants to go can go.
Not gonna lie, the role playing aspect and just, I don't know, just being honest and real with somebody
Yeah.
for a few minutes and just, I hate to call it therapy, but there are moments when you just know this is something this person is going through and needs to get this out, and I love that. I love that people can be real and raw and vulnerable with each other. That's the best part I love about D&D and role-playing games. And most intimidating, I think for me, is strategy. Like, I don't feel very strategic on a lot of things. I'm like, guys, what do you want to do? I don't know. So rules, I get a little nervous about whether I know the rules properly. So, but
I love.
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I completely agree from like a DM standpoint. Strategy is the thing that most intimidates me still. I don't feel like I play monsters or villains the way they should be played, or to their utmost pedigree, and it's hard. Anyway, Darrington, please.
I was just gonna say that I love that your thing that you love about it the most is the honesty, because my favorite thing about it is 100% the fantasy of it all. I just love a really well developed fantasy world. I love like the rules and procedures and structures of this, and that's why I am such a big Marvel fan, comics and cinematic. That's why I like video games so much. If you can take me to this non-existent place and do it really well, I love it. I'm there. It's just something I enjoy. But the thing that intimidates me the most, genuinely, is the content generation. Yeah. Like, you log on or meet with a group, and then you have to make what happens next step by step. And I always have this idea in my head of like what the story should be, and if I can contribute in a way that takes it where it should be, or if I'm saying things or creating things that are actively blocking where we need to be going, what we need to be doing. That is an intimidating idea, that we're all here to make something great, but everybody might have a different idea of what that is. And how do you create, how do you collaborate under those circumstances?
Totally. That's one of those, I feel like I had that same worry early on, and I don't know if it's something that you just kind of get used to with the improvisation of it all, or you just maybe get comfortable with the people you're playing with to a point where you kind of trust each other to take care of the story and take care of your characters in that way. But yeah, I mean, it especially if like playing with new people or something like that, all of that creeps right back in, and because you don't, you're being very vulnerable with people, and that can be very scary. So I was just gonna say I commend you, Darrington, for allowing your first time outside of theater class in high school to be on camera. Because that's huge, and that's it. You are being vulnerable, and you're killing it, by the way. But it's but I had no doubt you would ever not be good at this. So
true. Yeah, and I think it's so important, like you said, Justin, to have people who you trust, and like it is that vulnerable thing. But if you have a good DM, and if you have a good group of friends who let you kind of fail, that's why I like this Cortex Prime, where you can choose the lesser, like the D4, to make it believable. Like, if I'm trying to do something, so I'm trying to think of something like, so one of mine is eager to please. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing. She could be trying too hard, and then it makes a mess of the situation. And I love that makes a good story. So I think the beautiful thing about role playing is like enjoying the disasters along with the triumphs, because they
Yeah.
make the triumphs so much better in the end. Like I'll
Absolutely.
do something horrible and then everybody's like, oh, and then after they're like, that was really fun though. I loved that happened, and now we have to deal with this new thing. They're like, oh, my character's pissed at you. I love it. Like it's so fun.
I completely
That's
agree.
hard.
One of the traps I think that a lot of groups can fall into, myself included, of course, is like wanting to win the game, which you don't even realize you're doing it, but you're just kind of you get upset if you lost a combat, or if something happens, or you get knocked out of the fight, or whatever it may be, and that's not role playing. If you're going to have this adventure, if you're going to like have a character arc and whatnot, even if you don't know where it's going, it requires the valleys as well as the peaks, and you need those failures to make the other moments shine brighter, right? Okay, the chat's mad at me because I forgot you guys can't see the chat, and they are all saying how much they love you both, specifically in Zoa, but probably just also generically as well.
Love you guys
So
so much. They're mad at you.
they're like, yeah. No, they're not. Okay. Well, speaking of Cortex and whatnot, let's talk about your characters. Let's talk about Tennyson and Kira. I know a lot of these things, but why don't you talk a little bit about your conception with these characters, what you wanted them to be, why, where you kind of, planted these seeds from. That's not the right expression, but you know what I'm trying to say. Talk to me a little bit about how you created them and why.
Do you want to go, Darrington?
Yes.
Do it all. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I spent too much in retrospect time coming up with the backstory for Tennyson. There are the tiniest details that now that we're playing the game, I'm like, why did I do all of this?
Because it's necessary. It's so good.
Every now and then it's handy to go back to my document and be like, how would he feel about this? I don't know. Tennyson, I knew when Justin came to me with the campaign that there were a couple of animals that I would love to play, to be behind. And so I started there, and I was interested in felines, like something like a lynx would be cool. And I was also interested in birds and was thinking heavily about an owl. But I wanted to be like a little more different and eclectic than that. And even though I didn't, the first thing that came to my mind before an owl was a toucan. And then I thought to myself, that's dumb. And so I resisted the idea for such a long time. And at the end of the day, I was like, he's a toucan. He's a fucking toucan. I'll accept it. We'll move forward with it. It's just, I don't know. But as far as his character, Tennyson is the youngest of 20 siblings. And in this world of Zoa, he is the youngest heir of this huge tech company that focuses specifically on inventing and engineering technological enhancements to Metazoa. And he's always been fascinated with the origin of Stardust and what that is as an energy and how it can be incorporated into technology. And so he ends up finding himself here at the Ursa Academy to train to go into space, to be where the origin of that energy came from. So in creating him, I knew I wanted to let the nerds part of me shine through. Like I said, the video game knowledge I thought would help me in building things and modifying things. But I was also interested in creating a character that would force me to not be entirely myself. I didn't want, it felt too safe to just create a person who was based entirely off me so I could go in there and be me. Mm-hmm. And so there are differences. There are differences in personality. There are differences in upbringing and friend group that sort of force him to be a little rougher than I would be, or a little more uncouth or unaware socially. And that's really fun to explore. Like someone who has a lot of interest of mine, but also has the talents and these drawbacks. who is a toucan. So it's been
Yeah.
so fun to learn more about him as we go too.
Well, he's quickly become a fan favorite, I would say. And what's interesting about all of that, as you talk about it, is I don't think I've ever told you this, Darrington, but you and Annie were the two new people to Ghostlight among this cast. Everybody else had already kind of done some show or another with us, and so because of that, when I was asking everybody what their characters, what direction you might want to be headed as far as like character class goes and what that kind of stuff, I specifically went to you two first. I wanted you guys to feel like you had, because of the nature of it, where in this specific game the crew needs one of each kind of role, essentially: the leader, the protector, the peacekeeper, the arcana technician, and the explorer. We couldn't really have any repeats, and because of that, I didn't want you two to get shoehorned into something that maybe you didn't want to do. So I wanted you to have first pick. And Annie quickly gave me her pick, and I was like, oh, okay, easy, perfect, let's go with that. Darrington, I think we had a little like problems getting connected for like a week, and everybody else in the cast started sending me their picks, and I was like, oh great, that's fantastic. Oh no, there's a chance. Oh no, Darrington might get like a hard one, like Arcana Technician. I don't want him to have to feel like he needs to know all this lore and like create like, in-depth technology and things. And yet that is the one that you
I wanted.
You literally we met that day, and you were like, I want Arcana Technician. I was like, oh shit, okay, well never. I was like, had all these plans to like try and figure out what to do, and it wasn't necessary because you love lore, because you love the world building aspects of it, and you've done a great job with that so far. Annie, you're not frozen anymore.
I'm not. I got really scared. I was like, oh no.
I thought if I just kept talking, maybe you would just snap out of it.
I
and
came
you did.
back.
Um,
I'm so sorry, y'all. My
No.
internet likes to be really crappy at night. It's pretty good in the morning, which is good, but at night it likes to go in and out.
You're fine.
But yeah,
It's
I'm
not a
here.
problem.
I was listening.
Well, we're on to you. So talk to
Great.
us about Kira.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I wanted to play somebody different. I always say I want to play somebody different. I feel like I come right back to like what I love, which is like somebody trying to find themselves, somebody who's genuinely kind, and just, I don't know, I did go a different route where she's kind of the bookish one.
Yeah.
Because like I said, elvish ranger, elvish rogue, whatever I'm playing, I'm like, want to be badass and shooting things and punching things and whatever. And she's like, I can't do that very well. I have to work harder at that, which I just was trying to find a animal that was powerful, and I thought of a cheetah.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh, I was so
Darn
intrigued.
that internet! Okay, let's imagine what we think she would have said. So I thought of a cheetah.
Because they're powerful.
They're
Not visually, not what you would expect to have a physical issue.
Right. Exactly. And
No.
a cheetah can't change their spots. So if she's less I'm stalling. Let's see.
no.
What else possibly might she have said?
Dang it!
Oh!
Okay, I kept talking and I didn't know if I was still going. I'm so sorry, y'all. Anyway,
No, it's okay. We had fun.
where did I cut off?
You said you picked a cheetah because
I picked a cheetah because it's a strong animal, and I was like, I love that. But what's her flaw? And I thought it'd be great if she's not super strong, she has to work harder than the other cheetahs. And so that's why I was like, she's intelligent and she has asthma, which is funny because cheetahs are really strong animals and they can run and they can do all these crazy endurance things, and she has to work harder at that. than the other, people in her family. So I think I went down a different route that I always do, where it's kind of the oddball or somebody different or just trying to find their own way. But I, yeah, I wanted to go a little bit with the brainy one.
Yeah.
But I love a character with a good heart at the end of the day. So when you said Peacekeeper, because I was like, is she smart? Where's Arcana Tech? What is she? And you're like, Peacekeeper. And I was like, that's just Annie. So yeah, let's go with it, which
Look,
I love. I love those characters.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
I get it.
So
there's
yeah.
a reason I play Bard a lot, I
Yeah.
mean, that's, you rest on what you know. I know I like to talk a lot, so.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoy it, and I think that goes back to just I love the community, and I love the union of people while they play, and I chose her. So her background is kind of, she's from Iridia, and she's from this family of like great warriors, and they are in the Royal Guard, and her two sisters got accepted to that, and she did not. She had to go to, well, didn't have to, but she was chosen to go to the Grand Archive, which is where a bunch of elephants reign, live, work, and they have all these different books and all this knowledge, and so she was kind of taken under their wing, drunk, and taught just about the world. And in my head, she's kind of in this place that is very proud of their their kingdom. They're very proud people. They're very strong. And I don't know, we haven't really gotten into this, and I don't know if it ever will come up, but I think in my head, it's kind of those people who are so comfortable where they are, they kind of forget that there's other people around them.
Yeah.
And so I think the Grand Archive opened her eyes to, like, there's so many other people around you, and there's so many cultures, and there's so many different types of people. And like, so Pozzo is the elephant who taught her, and he was the one who's like, listen, I've lived my life reading about all this. You go out and live it. You go out and see it. You're young, and like, maybe there's a reason you weren't put in the Royal Guard. You get to go explore the world and meet people. So yeah, that's kind of where I came up with the idea for her, and I love her. I love her already. She's so fun. Yeah.
I'm loving all of these characters
They're so
more than I
good.
thought I mean, I knew you guys, I had no doubt you were going to create beautifully like rounded characters.
Yeah.
And yet I still somehow was like delightfully surprised by just how much I love them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Everybody's done such an amazing job.
In thinking about that, actually, like, what you both have, and all of the players really, but thinking about you two, you've both really leaned into those vulnerabilities of your characters. Tennyson, speaking from an audience perspective, not as the DM, just GM. Damn it. Tennyson clearly is alone. He's solitary. He seems to push others away a lot of the time, and so I'm just, again, from an audience perspective, like, I'm kind of interested in his perspective of his team, and being on this ship. I know you missed, you couldn't stick around for the end of the last session.
We needed him so many times.
They needed you badly.
So bad.
Luckily, Dresden was there, and she's pretty Arcana Tech knowledgeable, so she helped out. But Darrington, when thinking about Tennyson's future, and of course we have nothing planned, let me just say that outright. I mean, none of this is scripted by any means. I'm just kind of curious, like, where do you see, what excites you about Tennyson moving forward?
I have the whole of Tennyson's being, and hopefully his trajectory in this campaign, I have like sort of condensed into a line that I really hope I get to say.
Okay, well, don't tell us.
But I think I'm really hopeful for Tennyson that he will stop putting so much effort on what he can make.
Yeah.
And start putting more effort in what he can do with people. I think he has a disconnect with being alone so long. Like, I can only trust these inanimate objects. I can only trust things that I create myself, and not seeing how friendships can work in that way too. So there's no telling exactly what will happen, but I hope for him, not really having a family, losing his group of friends, that he finds camaraderie in his team on the ship and starts to warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Keeping that same line of thought, Annie, Kira, her vulnerabilities of I don't know, and I don't want to say this, and again, this is just things that I've observed watching these characters.
Tell me.
It feels like Kira maybe is self-doubt. Hasn't had a ton of, I mean, she's had support for sure, but I'm just kind of curious, again, let me just stop talking. What excites you about Kira's future moving forward?
I think you're totally right. So I think it's that whole thing about, like, you're right. She has support. She has Pazzo. She's had people who love her and support her, but it's just not getting in there.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law will always say, I know, but I don't know. And I think that's, like, she knows she's smart. She knows she's this and whatever, but she needs to know it. And she needs to learn that. So I'm very excited to see her actually start believing that herself, because you can be told something so many times, but until you specifically say, hey, I'm pretty awesome, pretty good, I help people, I love people, like, I have value and worth, and I'm meant to be here. I think that would be her line, if I'm honest. Like, where am I meant to be? And to say I'm meant to be here, this is good that I'm here, is probably hers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe get a new boyfriend along the way.
Oh.
If
he's
didn't
not
kill him off already.
Right, I am like, is he still here?
Poor guy.
I don't know.
Oh man.
That's so funny.
I'm a sucker for a good romance. I'm
Yeah.
a sucker for a good romance.
Totally. A few things from the chat I just want to mention, since you guys
Me
can't
this
see
time.
these. Oh no, Darrington.
he-
Oh, I didn't even
No.
notice.
No, he's.
At least we can hear you, Darrington. We can hear you. I
Man.
think.
I wonder if he can hear
Maybe
us.
not.
I kept talking at times because I was like, I don't know if they can still hear
What's
me.
up with the internet tonight, everybody?
Oh, read some questions. We'll keep
Okay.
going. We'll talk about it.
Oh, there he
There
is.
he is.
Oh my
You're
god.
back.
Isn't it stressful?
It-
Oh no.
Oh no. Back to back.
We're killing it today. All right, yeah. Read some fun questions.
So I'm just gonna read these from the
That's
chat. You're back, Darrington. You're back. It's crazy.
Stressful.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm so sorry, y'all. Elisa Lynn said Tennyson is gonna learn the power of making friendships instead of things.
Hey.
Got a little
Don't do
Kingdom
it.
Kingdom Hearts type thing. White Shadow. Thanks. Also, we have Kira and Max forever. From
Forever.
Cat Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case everybody knows, we didn't get to see Max very much, but so background story with Kira and Max is, like, they became friends because he pretty much taught her how to, like, control her breathing and, like, to use that to her advantage when she was being, running or whatever
Yeah.
it was. So he was kind of the guy who helped her out in PE or whatever you want to call it. But she definitely hears the song "I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight" every time he walks in a room. So just play that in your head anytime
That's
Max
so good.
walks in.
Well, unfortunately, he won't be walking
Yeah,
around
he's dead.
anytime soon. He died. So this is all posthumous.
Forever until he
Uh-huh.
died.
Gone forever.
Yeah.
Gone forever.
It's real sad. He was in our session 0. I think he was in our first session as
Yeah, he
well,
was.
because you
Yeah.
guys saved him during the you aided him during the
I'm sad we
Final
don't
test.
get to see these characters because they're a lot of fun. Are
Yeah.
they called NPCs in this game?
They're called GMCs.
All right. Well, the GMCs
Game
are pretty awesome.
Moderated characters.
Well, the GMCs are wonderful, and I wish we got them more because
That
now
makes
they're all
me
dead.
happy that you say that, because that is probably my favorite part of being a GM, is just getting to create and then portray the characters that come up all the
I love
time.
them.
That was my favorite part of Childish Things. I don't know if anybody has watched that. I know Elisa Lynn has. She was like our #1 fan. But Childish Things, it's on YouTube. Go watch it. Was fantastic, and I loved all the little NPCs I got to play in that.
Yes. It's the best when they're just a random character and then everybody clings on to them and then they're family for the rest
Yeah.
of the whole campaign.
We have time for a few more questions. I have a few, but chat, if you have any questions for these two, throw them our way. We'll try to get to them, depending on how many there are. But if you have any questions, hit us up. Otherwise, I should ask Darrington, Annie, do you have any questions for each other, or for me, or for the chat, or anything you guys want to talk about?
I don't know yet.
I don't know yet either.
What is Tennyson thinking with, like, yeah, what are you thinking with the world being gone? Like,
Oh my
what is
god.
in his little heart right now?
Well, Tennyson is very much in the this cannot be possible. If it
Yeah.
cannot be logically explained, then it cannot be real. And so there has to be a logical explanation to get it back. Something can be changed, and we can go back. That's where he's at. This is not how we're just going to move on.
I love everything about
Yeah,
that. That's good.
that tracks.
So good. That does track.
Oh my god, I kept wanting to learn more about Kira's traumatic explosion incident before she got on the ship. I was like, are you okay?
Oh my gosh, I know that was a lot. I'm kind of impressed that I did so well on some of those things because I was not expecting to. I was like, I might die in here
Literally,
right now.
Yeah.
like Lara Croft Tomb Raidering rooftop to rooftop, getting to this flying space.
It's
Shit.
so
I was
funny.
like, yeah.
You know, I had so much prepared in the cave, and obviously I had a big picture thing that was going to happen towards the end, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what you guys are gonna do before that, so I had like these two NPC or GMCs are going off this direction, they're going this way. I was honestly just seeing who would go where and trying to get you guys to go different places and explore, and Annie was the one who was like, I'll go. And I was like, Kira being the one to get this news, to get this like dire situation thrust upon her is like, I couldn't have asked for a better better
With
person.
donuts and the refreshments. I know. I was just like, oh, I'll go find Skipper. And then everybody went, and I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to go find Skipper anymore. Maybe I want to go somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's try something fun.
It's I don't know why, but it's like somehow hardwired into me that like making the party split up for things like that is like my favorite thing to do, because I can
was
like
fun.
spotlight each character easier.
Yeah.
Then when everybody's together, it's a little tricky to like, you know, have individual things going on. We have a really good question from Elisa. What do you feel is the most you part of your character, and what is the most unlike part?
Ooh, such a good question.
Or what is most unlike you? What's the part that is most unlike you? So, any thoughts?
I feel like I don't think I'm not smart, but she's intelligent. She's very good. Like, she reminds me of my sister-in-law, where it's just like, they get it, they study so hard, and like, they're the ones who are like,
Oh no! No!
These were the wrong two people to invite on your show, Justin. You're
were the
just
two
rickety
with-
rackety.
With the ricketiest internet connection. Well, while we're waiting for Annie, Darrington, what about you? Any thoughts?
I'll answer. I think the most me part of Tennyson is the immediate try to problem solve.
Yeah.
I think if there's something in front of him, he's gonna think for all of the different solutions. She's back.
She's back.
You're back. I'll wrap this up. He'll think of solutions, and I think I do that too. The most unlike me is how he just doesn't need people to move from day to day. He's totally okay not having those vested relationships. That is, and it's weird to play. Annie, what were you saying?
What I was trying to say is she's super bookishly smart. I'm going to say this super fast. She plans everything in advance, and she has her projects done a week before rather than me. I'm like the night before getting something done, working on that adrenaline before. She's like got it all done. She's bookishly smart. Something that I think that is most similar though is I genuinely care about people and want my people to be okay around me. Like I'm the one who's checking in on people, and that's her. She wants to make sure everybody in the room is good. She can read it really well, and that's her biggest concern, is that everybody's taken care of. So, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Darrington, did you say Did you say both?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed one of them.
He's
We're
doing
celebrating
both.
Annie's return.
I was distracted by stuff going on here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm the worst.
no, I don't know that it's fully either of your fault. There may be a bad internet connection on my end. Apologies to the chat if this has been a glitchy session. I don't know what going out to everybody else. Maybe I'm freezing too. I don't know. So anyway, apologies for that if you've been dealing with that.
Great question.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have one more question here, and then we will call it a night. So let's see. The glitches just leave us in suspense. Yeah, thanks, Sunky. We do it on purpose. Again, long-term plans. Everything is part of the plan. Had another good question from Melissa. This is for me. What drew you to this campaign? Was it your BG with the OG version of Zoa, or something else in particular? Was it your BG with the OG? Am I crazy? I don't know what that means.
I
Hang
don't
on.
know what that means.
Was it your...
Is she like referring to your experience with the first Cortex?
Was it your background? Thank you.
Got it.
I don't know things. Was it your background with the original version of Zoa? I see. So, and by Zoa, yeah, so Zoa was completely homemade by myself and my little brother. And then eventually all my players as well contributed and added things to the world, and we continue to do so. I'll talk about Zoa in a second, but just like Cortex is the thing that I had played before, but the world, you know, the great thing about Cortex, much like D&D or really most of the role-playing games that we play, can be super adapted into different worlds, homebrew, different, you know, different kinds of lore, so it's not all like high fantasy. It could be, you know, modern or whatever. No, you're great on the internet slang. I'm bad at it. But the whole thing that drew me to Zoa, like most things, I watched something or read something. I don't know. I can't pinpoint the exact moment. I thought it would be really cool to do steampunk anthropomorphic animals, but somewhere along the line I was like, that would be sick. And then the more I thought about it, the more I got, you know, invested into the idea that this needed to take place in space. There needed to be, you know, I had a lot of big influences. I'm sure a lot of them are apparent. Things like Zootopia, things like Treasure Planet, Lost in Space actually was a big thought bubble for me. And here's the thing. The biggest thing that draws me to campaigns like Zoa, to worlds like Zoa, very much in the same way that I was drawn to Childish Things, except that one was not a world I created. That one was adapted from the book itself that we were using, Threadbare. I love mashing things together. I love like taking and he's frozen and it's hilarious. I love taking like two different genres and just kind of throwing them together, mixing them up and see what we get. And so with like Childish Things, it was this, it's called Stitch Punk. It's an actual genre. And it was, this kind of creepy horror apocalypse, but with like childish toys and like innocence and purity. And hey, Velvet Text. Oh no, we lost Annie.
She'll be back. I think the same thing.
Oh, good. Well, you guys swapped places now, but it's really
Perfect.
cute and I like it. We're doing great, Velvet Text. Oh, see, Darrington, you know how to fix things on your own now. You are Tennyson. That's so good. Velvet Text, we are actually we're about to wrap up our little interview here, but thank you for joining us. I'm finishing up this question about Zoa Stardust. I forget where I was at, but basically I like mashing things together, essentially. Thank you so much for the cheers. And so taking, anthropomorphic animals, smashing them together with space and with adventure, just it seemed like something that I would love for sure. So anyway, that is where I'm at with this. Annie just texted me.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, well, anyway, point is, we're about to call it. Oh, there she is.
He's back again.
This is the most, like, comedy of errors episode
I better
we've
say
had.
goodbye right now before I glitch out again, because I love you
Yeah.
all. Thank you so much if I glitch out again. This has been so fun.
Yeah.
Damn.
You said it all, Annie. Thank you all for watching. Now, typically, we would end the interview session. I would go to a little intermission, and then I would come back and paint. Tonight, unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, I have this new setup because of a new job at home. I can't paint tonight. My setup isn't ready, and I need to fix it, but I need to take more time on it. So I didn't want to rush things and kind of throw together a kind of a crappy paint session. So I will paint next week. We'll have more guests next week, and that is going to be it for us tonight. So I apologize if you were hanging around watching the paint dry. But I'll paint next week. We'll have more guests next week. I want to thank Darrington and Annie so much for coming on. Darrington, I love you. Annie, you frozen lady, I love you so much.
Oh, that's grand.
She's texting us
That's
again.
so good.
Okay. Well, we're gonna raid, so stick around for the raid. And if you aren't watching Zoa Stardust, you owe it to yourself to do so specifically just for these two. They are beautifully they're so good. They're so good. Everybody on the show is good.
Yes.
So I'm very excited. And if you aren't watching The Contraband on Friday nights, you are also doing yourself a disservice. It is funny. It is captivating. The story is just juicy. It's juicy. Go watch The Contraband. You can find both of those shows on this channel, so make sure you follow it. Make sure you follow it, and if you are capable of subscribing, we'd love you to do that too. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. Annie's back. Woof. All right, one more time. We love you all. Have a
Love
good night.
you.
Stick around for the raid.
Bye.
Bye.